From Learfield on the Aggie Sports Network, this is Utah State women's basketball. Let's go to courtside.
Good afternoon and happy holidays from the Dee Glen Smith Spectrum, where the Utah State women's basketball team gets ready to take on Long Beach State University. I am Jaden Johnson, here courtside for the game. Thanks for joining us for Utah State Women's Hoops here on Aggie Radio, 92.3 KBLU LP FM, and AggieRadio.com, of course, as well. This should be a really fun game. Utah State coming in 5-5 on the season after playing a pretty strenuous preseason schedule. 5-5 is tough to complain about for a team that went 2-9 before conference play last season, and a team that's played the schedule that they have. 5-5 is, you always want to win every game, but that's not a bad mark for this team, and they can go into conference play with an above 500 record if they win this game today against Long Beach State, the final non-conference game for the Aggies before they take about a week and a half off and then start things off against Nevada on the 2nd. Now, Long Beach State, a team that struggled a little bit this season. They're 2-9 or 2-10 on the season. They've yet to win a road game, 0-4 on the road. But a team with a lot of raw young talent. And Coach Finkbeiner was very complimentary, saying that, this team, they pass the eye test. You watch them on film, and it's hard to figure out why they've gone 2-10. Now, statistics might tell you otherwise, because the eye test on the stat sheet isn't very pretty for the 49ers. However, they're a very, very young team. Now, Aggie fans know how that goes. If you've followed this Utah State program for the last several years, the last two years in particular, you know what it's like to follow a really young team. Now, this Long Beach State team, 85% of their minutes this season have been played by underclassmen. They really only play 8 players, and of those, 4 are freshmen, 6 are underclassmen. So it's an inexperienced team, but a lot of talent in some of these young players. They had two players on the All-Big West freshman team last season. That was Naomi Hunt and Shanasia Davison. So they've got some studs, and they're going to make Utah State pay if the Aggies don't come out and play the way that they have the last few games. Now, Utah State is on a 3-game winning streak, so they feel pretty good right now. A 3-game winning streak is something they didn't accomplish at all last season. The last time it happened was about a season and a half ago. And again, last year they went into conference play 2-9. And so the fact that they've already, tripled their win total for road games on the season, the fact that they're already just a couple of games away, they can pull within 1 game of their win total last season before conference play even starts. The Aggies are feeling pretty good, and they would love to be going into conference play on a 4-game winning streak. Now, taking a look at Utah State and why things have fallen the way they have, I mean, they started out 2-0 with wins over Washington State on the road, big win there, and Northern New Mexico, an NAIA program, and then they lost 5 straight. So that's discouraging, but you look at who they lost to. They lost to the number 3 team in the nation, Oregon. They lost to a couple other Pac-12 schools on the road, USC and Colorado. They lost an overtime heartbreaker to in-state opponent BYU, who's a very good team as well. And they lost on the road to Portland in a game that was really back and forth throughout, and Portland's a good team as well. So those teams, those 5 losses that the Aggies picked up, those 5 teams have now combined for a 46-9 combined record. So the Aggies have the 29th ranked strength of schedule in the nation. It hasn't been an easy preseason by any means, and the fact that they're 5-5 is a pretty good sign heading into conference play. Much, much tougher than last year's preseason, much tougher than just about any other Mountain West team's preseason. So they're going to be feeling pretty good, and rightfully so. Again, 46-9. That's the record of the teams they lost to. Not many teams are beating USC, Colorado, and Oregon, all, 2 of those on the road. And so they've got something to hang their hat on right now. Now, this Long Beach State team, they've played a little bit of a tougher schedule as well. Their schedule hasn't been a pushover. And, again, they're sitting at 2-10. Their 2 wins coming over a 3-6 Idaho team and a 2-8 Grand Canyon team. That was actually their most recent game, so that was on Sunday, and they're coming off of a win. So a little bit of momentum going Long Beach State's way. And again, they're a young team. It's going to take them a little while to figure things out. But they have losses to Cal Baptist, to USC. Of course, the Aggies know about that. To Utah, to Nevada, to Northern Iowa, number 3 Oregon, another common opponent there, San Diego, Arizona, and Loyola Marymount. So, I mean, you want to talk about Utah State has played 4 Pac-12 teams, the number 3 team in the nation. Well, same goes for Long Beach State. They've played some really good competition. Only a couple of wins in there, and, maybe some games, a game against San Diego, a game against Loyola Marymount, where you probably should have had a good shot to win and didn't. But as you're going to hear Coach Finkbeiner say about this team, he seems awful complimentary of them, and they're kind of a team that's still finding their bearing. There's only one upperclassman that's regularly contributing on this team, and their senior leader, one Martina McCowan, the only senior on the entire squad, was injured 4 games into the season. She started the first 4 games and hasn't had any action since. They're hoping she can make it back before the season's over. However, definitely not going to be in the lineup this afternoon for the 49ers. Utah State coming off of an exciting, really a fun win over Utah Valley, an in-state game there. Maybe a little bit more exciting than it should have been. Utah State held a 19-point, I think it was an 18-point lead at one point, and then ended up winning 67-62, so they really saw it slip away. And so, the Aggies actually early on got down by up to 10 points, turned that thing around, dominated much of the second half. They won the third quarter 24-12, but then they were outscored in the fourth 21-10. And so it got a little more exciting than it should have. Came a little bit down to the wire, and Coach Finkbeiner was very vocal about that after the game. But a lot of good things from that game for Utah State. You had Eliza West set a career high and the second most assists in program history. 13 assists in that game. 9 of those came in the first half. So that's exciting. And along with those lines, Utah State had 21 assists in that game on 26 made shots. That's a ridiculous rate. That does not happen. And so that, some definite positives. Shannon Duffy, 12 points, 8 rebounds. Olivia West came in, finally kind of found her scoring stride, made 16 points. She took 13 shots to get there, but, starting to get things going. And Utah State as a team, they didn't shoot particularly. I mean, they didn't shoot out of the building. 42.5%. That's reasonable. It's not a bad percentage. And 38.5% from 3, which is pretty good. And they actually got out-rebounded pretty badly to the tune of 38-25. But they did a really good job defensively. They forced 28 turnovers, 16 steals for the Aggies, and, came out where it mattered. That was a good Utah Valley team. Both of those teams had the exact same record going into it. Utah State really enforced their will through much of the game and comes out with the win to move to 5-5 on the season. And so the Aggies, again, now have an opportunity to go into conference play with an above 500 record, which would be enormous. Conference play does start up on January 2nd. They'll have Nevada, and then they'll go on the road, play Air Force and Fresno State. And so, that's some tough competition right out of the gates. You got Nevada, who went to the conference championship game. Air Force, who knocked Utah State out of the conference tournament last year on the road, and Fresno State, who's always a very good team and has been very good this season. So I was able to sit and talk with Coach Finkbeiner here before this game. We sat down about an hour and a half ago down the tunnel and talked about his team to this point of the season and a little bit about this Long Beach State team And plans for the holidays. You know, this team, they're going to have a good 5 or 6 days off as they'll head home. Most of the players have flights out tonight. The players that are, of course, from long distances away, a lot of them are going to head home, go see their families, be home for Christmas, and that's a great opportunity for them. The schedule lined up really well for this Aggie team in that regard. So here's Utah State head coach Jerry Finkbeiner.
All right, Coach. So you're coming off a third straight win, and you know we talked after that game against Utah Valley, and you certainly said that there were a lot of things to work on, and you know you guys let a lead slip away, but still hold on to get the win, and you've got a 3-game winning streak now going into your final game of non-conference play. It's got to be feel pretty good to be sitting in this position.
Yeah, it does, with 3 straight wins, and you know if we can win today, that'd be 4 obviously, and put us over the 500 mark, 6-5 for the preseason. And you know I think we've had as tough a schedule as they've come since I've been here. In fact, nationally, I noticed this morning in the RPI news that we had the 29th, maybe 30th toughest schedule in the country. So we survived. You know, underline that, and you know we're going for one more here before the break. And we played last Saturday and this Saturday, so we've had 2 weeks of practice. You got to throw finals weekend there too, but we've got a lot accomplished. We tried to work on our fast break game, try to work on some situational plays, try to work on a little bit some kinks out of our defense. So I think we use the practice very wisely the time we were granted, and at the same time I think we're still pretty fresh coming into today's game.
So you go from playing 5 road games in I think like 18-20 days or something like that, and now you're at home for almost 3 whole weeks. What does that do for your schedule, and what's the schedule like with Christmas coming up for the girls?
Well, scheduling is an art in the women's side, the mid D1 level. You know, we don't have the guaranteed money to pay people to come in, so we basically have to go places and they pay us. And so that's why our schedule is so radically different every year. We may have a string of home games, a string of away games. We may play very few home games, may play a lot. One season is different to the next, and so it wasn't strategically put this way, but it just kind of shook out after the summer, after last summer, with talking a multitude of schools, and this is what we were left with. So it's a schedule I wish we wouldn't have played so much on the road consecutively, especially against the level of competition we played. But at the same token, we finished at home here for 2 straight games before the break. So, you know, there's pluses and minuses, there's positives and negatives, probably whichever way you look at. But it's been a tough schedule, and now 2 home games, come back after Christmas, play another home game, opening Mountain West against Nevada. So that's not a bad little string there that we can really try to take advantage of.
Well, but you know, as tough as it was, you guys made it out of that stretch, and you could go into conference play above 500. So with Christmas coming up, and I imagine a lot of the girls are going home after today, do you worry at all that such a long break in between games is going to hurt momentum of this team?
Yeah, you know, that's always a concern. We're probably one of the programs in the country probably take the most time off. Some of it's by design because we just feel like it's a long season, and there's X amount of days you can kind of rest your legs up and rest your injuries up, and so we'll take a good 5.5 days off without seeing each other. I've divided the team up into thirds. They're each accountable to one of my 3 assistant coaches, and they're supposed to check in twice this next week of, you know, what have they been doing. Some cardio work, some basketball work, but they need to be out at least 2 or 3 times while we're gone. That way when they come back, it's not a shock to their bodies, you know, have to get in shape all over again. So we've got a lot to play for after the Christmas vacation period here, and we need to be ready. If we're not, you know, we'll slip up and play catch-up the rest of the season. So, you know, I think we've got some good momentum going into the break, and probably good enough momentum for the girls each to kind of take some accountability to stay with the game. And I don't hesitate that they won't, just because you know, they're full scholarship athletes and they're getting paid to do this, and it's a pretty good package. So I expect them to be ready coming back, but at the same token, I want them to refresh themselves, be with family if possible, do some fun things, sleep in, and also refresh too.
Now, one of the most dramatically improved stats from last season, when you look through the numbers, is assists per game. and I think you guys are just outside the top 25 assists per game. And in the last game, you had 21 assists on 26 made shots. How has that changed so much from last season, and what are you guys doing that's creating those opportunities?
Well, I think one is our guards are older and more mature. Olivia West, Eliza West have really started off well in that assist-to-turnover ratio. And then Steph Gorman has added to that, and she just has the same numbers as the other two. I'm probably more interested in assist-to-turnovers, and we're doing well in that. As a team, we're in the positive mark. On the women's side, and a lot of men's teams too, they don't have as many assists as they do turnovers. So we're on that side of the coin also, and that's a really good stat. But it's better decisions and better passes and probably more mature play by our team. I think the stats I'm not happy with is ultimately our team turnovers and our team free throw attempts, which is very low. So what it tells me is that we are making some unforced turnovers that can be corrected, and then we aren't physical enough the way I thought we'd be this year. We're just not shooting every free throw. So, but our assist, the positive, like you point out, positive assist to turnover ratio is the fact that that is covering some of the shortcomings we have on the offensive side of the ball.
Now, this Long Beach State team, very young team, a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores, and you can relate to that. Yeah. When you look at this team, and they're coming off of a win, and you know it's been a little bit of an underwhelming preseason. They've only had a couple of wins, but coming off a win, what are some of the things that they do well?
Well, they've had some good scores, and so it's a little deceptive. I told our team, in fact, this morning at our shoot-around that this team reminds me of our team 2 years ago, and even last year, is that they do have a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomore playing a lot of minutes, and so some of us just kind of feeling their way through, Division I season, and they meet the eye test. We watch them on tape, and they say, how are they losing these games? But then statistically, they're falling short. They're not rebounding real well. They are turning the ball over a lot. Similar to our challenges the last 2 years. So we just got to keep in that mode. We've got to execute better than they execute. I think that could be the difference of the game, because I think we have a system in play that gives us fairly good consistency, game in and game out. And Long Beach State, we'll see probably 3 or 4 different defenses, several offenses. They're going to press us. They'll back up on us. I think they're still trying to find themselves. But they're good enough to beat Idaho. They did beat Idaho. Idaho's a good team. And so I remind our girls that if they can beat Idaho, they can beat us. So we've got to be ready for this last homestand and before we get out for break.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. Good luck and Merry Christmas.
All right, thanks. Merry Christmas to you, Jaden.
All right, that's Utah State head coach Jerry Finkbeiner. Take a timeout and come back with starting lineups and tip-off here on Aggie Radio.
Looking to get groovy on your Tuesday nights? Then tune in to 92.3 KBLU LP Logan at 11 p.m. Mountain Time for the Flower Power Music Hour. Hosted by yours truly, Allison. Join me and we'll turn on, tune in, and drop out every Tuesday night on Aggie Radio. Discover the alternative. But it doesn't mean you ain't been on the mind.
Calling all former USU athletes. The Utah State A Club offers an exclusive organization for Aggie athletics alums. For more information, visit utahstateaggies.com/A Club.
This is Brad Bailey, USU Class of 2001. You are listening to Aggie Radio on 92.3 KBLU-LP Logan, Utah.
You're listening to Aggie Radio 92.3 KBLU LP Logan. Discover the alternative. You're listening into 92.3 KBLU LP Logan.
Support for this program is brought to you in part by iFit and
All right, welcome back to the Dee Glen Smith Spectrum. Utah State wrapping up the non-conference portion of their schedule, coming in 5-5, and with a win against Long Beach State, can head into Mountain West play with a winning record above 500. I'm Jaden Johnson, here on Aggie Radio. Thanks to those of you joining us on Aggie Radio and those just coming in on Mountain West Network and Stadium. For Utah State women's hoops, starting lineups just being announced as we speak. So let's go ahead and take a look over those. Long Beach State, who comes in at 2-10 on the season, is going to be starting, and this is a little bit of a curveball, at least for me. Maybe Long Beach State fans were ready and prepared for this. But Sydney Kinslow, the Illinois transfer, going to be making her debut here for the 49ers. I'm guessing that she hasn't played yet due to some sort of a transfer rule, because she did transfer from Illinois following the 16-17 season, and this is the first action she'll have seen for Long Beach State, and she's in the starting lineup. So that's again, that's number 1, Sydney Kinslow. She's a junior forward from Oakley, California, and she'll be in the starting lineup for the 49ers. They're also going to start with number 10, Justina King, a freshman guard from Scarborough, Canada. Number 21, Shanasia Davison, a sophomore guard from Woodland, California. Number 23, Lauren Green, a freshman forward from Tucson, Arizona. And number 42, Naomi Hunt, a sophomore forward from Fullerton, California. So not too much out of the ordinary there for the 49ers, other than the fact that Sydney Kinslow going to be making her debut here for Long Beach State. Excited to see her play and see what kind of an impact she can have on this team, which has struggled early on, but it's a really young squad. So just the fact that they're adding a junior to the lineup is huge. 85% of the minutes for Long Beach State have been played by underclassmen. Aggie fans can relate to that the last few seasons. Now for Utah State, same lineup as they've used the last 5 games. So you're probably familiar with it by now, but they're going to go with number 1, Eliza West, a junior guard from Mount Martha, Australia. Number 4, Steph Gorman, a freshman guard from Wodonga, Australia. Number 5, Shannon Duffy, a junior forward from Preston, Australia. Number 32, Emmy Harris, a sophomore guard from Danville, Kentucky. And number 44, Deja Mason, a senior center from San Antonio, Texas. So again, same lineup the Aggies have used for the previous 5 games. Aggies coming on a 3-game winning streak, while Long Beach State actually won their last game as well, a win over Grand Canyon, 57-50. Long Beach State wins the tip, and we're underway here at the Spectrum. So first possession for the 49ers. And right away over in the corner, they've got it. King passes it, and then they go up top to Hamilton Fisher. I didn't think she was in the starting lineup. Maybe, I don't know, something in the stat system is off, because she was not supposed to be starting, but maybe a last-minute change was made. I don't know. First shot, though, missed for Long Beach State, and then Utah State grabs the rebound. So on the left wing, now Gorman has it up top to Eliza West, then down low to Duffy. She had a lane, but then kicks it back out to the right wing. Aggies, a good job distributing the ball. Had 21 assists on 26 made shots in the game against Utah Valley. A right wing 3 taken by Emmy Harris. No good. A great dish and a great look, but can't complete it. And the Niners come down with the rebound. So both teams go scoreless on their opening possessions. Long Beach State now with the chance for the first points of the game. Here's Green. Green going to work the baseline, go up against Deja Mason, and gets it up over Utah State's all-time leading blocker and puts it in. So the 49ers out to a 2-0 lead, and they get on the board first here at the Spectrum. Mason up top for Utah State, going to hand it off over to Emmy Harris. Harris and Mason both starting the last 5 games, but not playing a significant amount of minutes for the Aggies, but I think they like the energy that they bring right out of the get-go. Here's Gorman trying to go up, get some contact, and a foul called on Lauren Green will send Gorman to the free throw line for a couple of shots. So Utah State now with the opportunity for their point number 1 and 2 in this game. Gorman, she's been hasn't been in the line a ton this season. She's gone 6 of 7 so far from the stripe, and she knocks down number 1. Now, Gorman has been such a huge addition to this team, just doing a lot of things that really don't even show up in the stat sheet. She's an excellent defender. She knocks down number 2. But, and I mean, a lot of things that do show up in the stat sheet as well. She's number 2 in scoring so far this season, 10.2 points per game. She's got 3 rebounds per game, almost 3 assists per game. As a ball goes off of Emmy Harris's foot and out of bounds, it will stay Long Beach State possession. But Gorman's been a huge addition to this Aggie squad. It's 2-2, 8:15 to go here in the first quarter, and the 49ers with possession. Hunt passes it back out up top, passes it out to King. King looking around. She tries to pass it into the lane, but it's stolen by Deja Mason, who then hits the floor. Whistle blows, and I think they're going to get Deja with the travel. And they do. She hit the floor, slid a little bit, so it's Utah State nearly comes up with the turnover, but it's going to stay Long Beach State possession. 49ers inbound it. Here's Hamilton Fisher taking a step back jumper and knocks it down just inside the three-point line. Good defense from Harris, but that can't slow her down. That's a great shot there, and Fisher gets on the board. Hamilton Fisher, I should say. Now on the right wing, Gorman has it. She's looking around, tries to pass to Eliza, but Eliza's well covered defensively. And then a whistle blows. That's going to be a foul. I didn't see who they got there. It's going to go, they say Naomi Hunt, the sophomore from Fullerton, picking up her first foul of the game. That's the second team foul for Long Beach State with still 7:33 to go here in the first quarter. So a baseline inbound coming now for Gorman. She goes right in away to Mason over in the corner. And the Aggies send it back out up top to Duffy. Utah State's leading scorer. Duffy tries to drive, goes up and misses the lay-in, a little bit too much on it. And then the rebound tipped out of bounds, last touched by the Aggies. Utah State going to go with a little bit of a full court pressure look. Now this is something they really recently installed. We didn't see much of this defensive look for the Aggies before the previous game against Utah Valley. Coach Finkbeiner, though, has used this in past coaching stops, and he really likes this full court pressure look. This time, Long Beach State breaks through it, though, without too much trouble. It's almost stolen away by Emmy Harris on a cutting pass, but then the Niners set things up back up top. Now, what it does is, even when they break through it, it usually still takes off a good 7-8 seconds for the offense, and so then they have a shorter shot clock, as they do now. 7 seconds for the Niners. A right wing three taken, missed by Kinslow. That is the first shot for Kinslow as a Long Beach State 49er. Back the other way, a transition three missed by Emmy Harris. Her second shot from that exact spot, and the rebound by the Niners. A low-scoring affair here early on. It's still just 4-2. Utah State's only points coming off of free throws. The Aggies 0 of 3 from the field, while the Niners 2 of 3. Now another right wing three taken, an open one, but missed by Lauren Green, and the Aggies grab the rebound. Long Beach State loves to take threes. They take a whole lot of them as Emmy Harris then travels. She planted a pivot and then drug it as she tried to pick up the dribble. And so it's a turnover for Utah State. A mass substitution coming in now for the Aggies. On the court, it'll be Eliza West, Olivia West, Shannon Duffy, Haley Bassett-Meacham, and Rachel Brewster. So Bassett-Meacham and Brewster and Olivia West coming in for their first action. But this Long Beach State team, they shoot. They're 53rd in the nation in three-pointers attempted, but they only shoot 30%. That's 203rd in the nation. So they'll take a lot. They haven't been particularly good at making them. So maybe Utah State will just let them shoot. We'll see. Left wing three, another one taken. This one missed again. That was Green. No, I'm sorry, that was Davison, and Utah State grabs the board. So still 4-2. Aggies still looking for their first field goal of the game. Can Bassett-Meacham get it? No, she jumps from 10 feet out on the baseline and shoots. A nice look, but can't connect. And there's been a lid on that rim so far for Utah State. 0 of 4. Driving, cutting, shooting is King. A nice look, but can't connect. And that's kind of been the story of the game so far. Aggies haven't scored in 2.5 minutes. Long Beach State hasn't scored in over 2 minutes. And we're nearing the midway point of this first quarter. Still just 2 points on the board for the Aggies. Rachel Brewster, a beautiful move to get inside. And, you know, it's not that Utah State's not getting good looks as Brewster misses that. They're just not connecting. And I think the same could be said of the 49ers. Davison going to take a step back, slow things down. She'll get a screen from Hunt, use it over to the right side, pass over to the right wing for Hamilton Fisher. Hamilton Fisher moves off, dishes it over to the right side. A long jumper taken and made from Davison. She was about 2 feet inside the three-point line from the right wing and knocks it down to go up 6-2. We're under 5 minutes to go here in the first quarter, and the Aggies have still yet to make a field goal in this game. I should mention this Long Beach State team, field goal defense, they rank 330th in the nation. Bassett Meacham nearly loses it, but then a beautiful dish from Shannon Duffy over to Rachel Brewster. And a lay-in good for Utah State. Finally, a field goal for the Aggies. A little bit of a miscommunication on defense there, but then a bad pass from Hamilton Fisher across the paint. Turns into a turnover, and then a left wing three in transition missed by Olivia West. A foul called on the rebound. I think that's going to be on the Niners, and it is. It's Justina King picking up her first, and that's team foul number 3 for the Niners. So immediate timeout taken with 4 minutes and 17 seconds to go here in the first quarter. It's Long Beach State 6, Utah State 4.
You're listening to Aggie Radio 92.3 KBLU LP Logan. Discover the alternative.
Aggie Radio on 92.3 KBLU LP Logan, Utah State University.
Aggie Basketball is brought to you by 92.3 KBLU in Macy's, located at 49 East 400 North in Logan and 50 Utah 165 in Providence. Macy's offers a variety of food and drinks for game days, as well as watch parties. Macy's. Happy shopping.
Low-scoring affair to start things off here in Logan as Long Beach State leads the Aggies 6-4. Utah State starting out just 1 of 7 from the field. And I'm sure that's what the emphasis over in the timeout huddle right now for Coach Finkbeiner is, as he tries to get his squad to regroup. Utah State, a little bit of a streaky team as far as shooting goes this season. You know, they've had games where they've shot really out of the building, and they've had games where they've struggled as they've started off in this one. But you're going to see a lineup now with mostly scorers out there. Haley Bassett Meacham, Olivia West, Shannon Duffy, Rachel Brewster. And then your facilitator, Eliza West, as we come out of the timeout. So that's Utah State's kind of we need to get things going offensively lineup. Not a bad defensive lineup either. So with 4:17 to go, it's an Aggie inbound coming from the baseline. And that goes right away into Duffy, who resets it up top to Eliza West. Eliza West coming off a 13-assist showing against Utah Valley. That was the second most assists in a game for an Aggie in program history. A left corner jumper taken and knocked down by Rachel Brewster. I think that was a 2, though from my angle really hard to see that corner of the court, and it was. So that ties things up at 6-6. Rachel Brewster now a 4 early on. She only checked in a couple of minutes ago. A great defensive play there from Haley Bassett. Meacham stops the lay-in for Long Beach State, and then another Utah State rebound in transition. Let's see what they do with it. They elect to slow it down a little bit as Olivia West passed back over to Brewster. If Brewster can continue this kind of success, boy, Utah State's in for a great performance. A left wing 3 missed by Eliza West, and then they're going to get Duffy on the reach-in foul. She kind of reached over the top of Long Beach State player for the rebound. Now this 49er team, they have struggled significantly this season rebounding the ball. Dead last in the nation, 349th in the nation in rebound margin at minus 17.1. So actually looks like, okay, so my apologies. That was not a foul on, it's actually a foul on Long Beach State, but it doesn't matter because Utah State then turns it over on the inbound as miscommunication between a couple of players. So they called the foul on Hardy, actually, for the 49ers, and that's team foul number 4, so one more will send the Aggies to the free throw line. I'm not sure. I believe that originally maybe they switched the call, or maybe I just saw it incorrectly, but my apologies there. So, I mean, nevertheless, it's 6-6 with Long Beach State ball. But as I was saying, minus 17.1 in rebound margin. That's actually pretty squarely last place in the nation. So if Utah State is looking to win this game, they're going to have to absolutely hammer down on the rebounds. And against Utah Valley, the Aggies struggled quite a lot rebounding the ball. So we'll see how that plays out. Niner ball as Bordenero checks in and tries to drive. She passes it back out over the left wing. Now up top, taking a step-back jumper and air ball from Davison just inside the three-point line. Great defense there from Rachel Brewster to slow her down. And so Utah State will take it over after the shot soars out of bounds. A little bit of a full court look here now from Long Beach State. The first we've seen of that in this game. Utah State breaks it without too much issue. Gorman tightly defended. That's Rice on her. She'll pass it over. Now on the right wing, Olivia West thought about a three. Instead tries to drive. Is stuffed heavily down low, but then the offensive board off the block and put right back up by Shannon Duffesey. So Duffesey will get that'll count as a rebound and a block for you, or a rebound and a point for Utah State's leading scorer and rebounder. Aggies with their first lead of the game, 8-6. Driving the baseline and up and under. What a move there from Shanasia Davison. Started in the left corner, works all the way up the baseline, puts it up and under. And then a Utah State turnover. Gorman looked for Brewster, turns it over. Aggies, good job recovering defensively as Olivia West pokes it loose for a moment to at least force the Niners to take a step back out and reset things rather than score the transition bucket. So that's a good defensive stop for the Aggies. Now, can they come up with the stop on the possession? And they do, as a turnover by Davison. She tries to pass it out over to the corner for Rice, and just a little bit too much on it. So Utah State will take it back over with a tie ball game, 8-8. Turnovers another big story for this Aggie team. 4 turnovers so far in this game, and against Utah Valley just a few days ago, they turned the ball over 18 times. And so they're certainly going to have to keep that down a little bit if they want to have a chance at this one. So Utah State possession after that turnover. And the left wing, Brewster gets it on a long pass, takes a step-in jumper, missed. And that is the first time that Brewster's missed this afternoon. And then then Long Beach State turns it right back over. So they got the rebound, brought it across midcourt, and then a travel called on the Niners. So that will be their 5th turnover of the game. It'll go against Davison. Turnovers on back-to-back possessions for her. So Aggies trying to break this 8-8 deadlock. A pass saved from going out of bounds by Bassett Meacham. She'll now get it in the corner, take a step in, shoot. No good, but Annie Mbosu fights for the board. She just checked in for the Aggies. Can't get it as it's Bordenero coming away with the rebound. Coming back quickly, Davison goes right then left. Great crossover move, and then a dish behind the back. Beautiful pass, but can't connect on the three from Bordenero. That's everything you could want from your point guard and setting up a great shot. Sometimes they just don't fall. Brewster gets it down to Annie Mbosu. Annie Mbosu, the junior college transfer, hits the deck as she lost the ball and then turns it over. Tried to force the jump ball but can't gather it in, and so it's going to be King coming away with the steal. And then a foul on the Aggies in transition is Olivia West. Comes up with the foul, and that's not the worst one. That's not, not the worst foul that you could commit because they were trying to slow things down in transition, and Long Beach State had numbers. But Olivia West has found herself in foul trouble on and off the last couple of seasons. So the inbound from the baseline, and there's about 1.5 seconds between shot and game clock. So effectively, Long Beach State can run this thing down for the last real shot if they so choose to do. Here's Bordenero in at point guard right now for the Niners. Passes to the left, gets it back, passes over to the right for King. King now down low, and a wide open shot there for Davison. Made it look easy. 5 seconds to go. Aggies inbound. Olivia West flying down the court, gets just inside the three-point line, puts up a shot, and it will not connect. And so Utah State will go into the quarter break trailing by a couple. It is 10-8 after a quarter as the Utah State Aggies shot just 23% on 3 of 13 from the field as we head into the break. We'll be back in just a moment with the second quarter of action here at the Spectrum.
Aggie basketball on KBLU is supported by Ford. Ford dealerships are located throughout the state of Utah, from Logan to St. George, and a full section of vehicles is available on Ford.com.
This is Mikey Kettinger, and you're listening to KBLU 92.3 FM, Logan, Utah.
This is Nate Lowerson, class of 2009, and you're listening to Aggie Radio 92.3 KBLU LP, Logan, Utah. Go Aggies.
Something he cannot define. Bowel-shaking earthquakes of doubt and remorse assail him, impale him with monster truck force.
These teams have played each other 6 times, Utah State and Long Beach State. And the 49ers actually lead the series 5-1. And so, but the last meeting coming back in 2005, of course, these two teams both played in the Big West for a couple of seasons back in 04, 05, so they shared a conference. And that's where most of those meetings came from. But, yeah, the Niners lead the series 5-1. And Utah State trails after a quarter 10 points to 8 after shooting just 3 of 13 in the first. So, 8-point quarters are not going to win you many games if you're any team, really. And I'm sure that Coach Finkbeiner was very vocal about that. And I don't say this to discredit Long Beach State by any means. They're a young team and certainly a team that is growing as the season progresses, but they haven't been a particularly good defensive team on the season. So we come out of the timeout, and Utah State does have the ball as we begin the second quarter. Annie Abosu, athletic save to keep the ball in bounds. And then left wing 3 taken. Steph Gorman knocks it down. She is 43% from the three-point line this season, and she's not going to miss many that you leave her that wide open on. Utah State regains the lead, 11-10, and then a turnover on the Niners as Bordenero caught it over near the corner but had a foot out of bounds as she did so, or at least part of her foot, and so that'll be a turnover there. The 6th turnover of the game for the Niners, and Utah State regains possession after knocking down a 3 to begin the quarter. Olivia West checks out, as does Rachel Brewster. And coming in now, Emmy Harris back in for the Aggies, and Eliza West back in as well. Eliza West, again, coming off one of the better performances by an Aggie guard in program history. 13 assists in the game against Utah Valley. A dish from Gorman intended for Bassett Beecham. It wasn't a terrible pass, but just a little bit out beyond her reach, so it goes out of bounds off the baseline, and there's yet another turnover for Utah State. That's kind of been a theme here the last few games for the Aggies, though they've won 3 straight. Turnovers have been an issue. Now the Niners looking to regain the lead for themselves. King passes over to Bordenero. She'll stop at the baseline, pass it back out. Now over to the right wing. Hamilton Fisher thinks about driving, passes back up top. A wide open 3 by Bordenero. This time she'll knock it down. That's the first 3-pointer of the game made by Long Beach State. And Bordenero gets on the board for the first time of the afternoon to put Long Beach State back out in the lead, 13-11. Both teams now shooting 1 of 5 from 3-point line. 15 on the shot clock as Eliza passes it over. Gorman tries another 3, misses, but the offensive board by Annie Abosu. Annie Abosu goes back up way strong and doesn't even, she shot it way over the rim. The offensive board grabbed by Harris, but then a jump ball quickly forced, which will go back to the Niners as the possession arrow shines in their favor. Aggies again going with that full court press look, which they've recently installed into this defense. Niners break it, but Utah State does a good job recovering and getting back. Sometimes when you go full court press, it's really tough to recover. But here's another turnover for the Niners as Bordenero got it in the corner, took a step over to the side, and they're going to get her with a travel. Bordenero, a Pepperdine transfer. It was a grad transfer coming in. This is her first season with the Niners and still has a couple seasons to play, making an impact in her first season on this team. Here's Eliza West on the left wing, gets a double team. She's going to drive the baseline, kick it over to the corner for Emmy Harris. A dangerous passer. Harris passes it back over to Eliza. Eliza again going to drive the baseline, dump it off to Annie Abosu. Annie Abosu goes up, a lot of contact there, and that's a foul on Bordenero, which will send Marlene Annie Abosu to the free throw line. Now, she has struggled a little bit from the stripe this season. So far on the year, Annie Abosu just 4 of 9 from the stripe. And she'll have a chance for a couple more here now with a 13-11 deficit. She can tie it up. First shot, no good. Annie Bosu, a Frank Phillips College transfer, that's down in Texas, has come in, and she's playing just over 10 minutes per game. She's a good energy player. I mean, in that 10 minutes, 4.5 points, almost 3 rebounds per game. So she can come in and make a quick impact off the bench. Her second shot is good. And, of course, a very unorthodox free throw as she shoots from way over on the left side of the stripe, stands nearly on the elbow when she shoots, which is, you know, she's probably the only player I've seen do that. The Aggies make a sub as Emma Dudley comes in for the first action of the game. Long Beach State again breaks the press, and then a lay-in down low for, that was Naomi Hunt to put Long Beach State up 15-12. Harris passes over to the right wing, gets it to Gorman. Gorman back over, looking for Harris, almost turns it over on good defense from Hamilton Fisher, but then the Aggies draw a whistle. See who they get with that. That's going to be number 1, Sydney Kinslow picking up the foul for the Niners. I think she just caught a player on the cut. And so that's team foul number 2 here in the second quarter. And it's Kinslow's first personal. So baseline inbound with a fresh shot clock. Dudley sets a screen for Eliza, doesn't use it, instead goes around it. Now Dudley over the corner, 3 taken. Emmy Harris knocks it down from the right corner. Emmy Harris came in and knocked down a few big ones. I mean big ones against Utah Valley that really put that game out of reach. But then a turnover for Long Beach State. That was Naomi Hunt looking to pass it over to the corner. Just a wild pass. And it'll give Utah State the ball back with now a tie ball game, 15 apiece, and 6:38 to go here in the second quarter. Liza takes it over to the right wing, stops, travels, and we have seen that call. No, that's actually that's a foul on Steph Gorman. So my apologies, not a travel, it's a foul instead, but regardless, it results in a turnover, which will give it back to the Niners. Driving and then fouled is Shanasia Davison, so she's going to go to the free throw line for a couple. They're going to get Steph Gorman. No, I'm not sure who they got on that one. I think they got might have been Emma Dudley down low picking that up. So the first free throw missed by Davison. She's got one more coming. She was a preseason All-Big West player after making the Big West All-Freshman team last season. She misses the second as well. The board grabbed by Hunt, and then Dudley's going to come in and force the jump ball, which will go back to Utah State. So that foul, that foul on the shot, that was actually Emmy Harris. Utah State with 2 fouls. Long Beach State with 2 fouls. 6:16 to go, and we're tied up at 15 apiece. Gorman on the right wing. Looks to Dudley, but then passes over to the left instead for Gorman. Gorman back up top to Eliza West. Eliza just 1 assist so far tonight, passes it down. Duvsey drives, misses the shot, but grabs her own board, goes back up again with the left hook, misses, and this time it's going to be Kinslow grabbing the rebound for the Niners. Aggies shooting just 26%, while Long Beach State 50%. Make that higher than 50% as she knocks down a 3. That was Bordenero on the left wing, putting the Niners back out in the lead, 18-15. It was Kinslow, my apologies. So Kinslow getting her first bucket in a Long Beach State uniform, but then Gorman misses a 3 back in the other direction, and the rebound by the Niners. So Kinslow came in. She's now got 3 points. She's also got 3 rebounds as well for the Illinois transfer. Losing the ball out of bounds, but it's last touched by the Aggies, so it'll stay Long Beach State possession. Davison going to inbound from the baseline with 16 on the shot clock, goes right into Hunt. Hunt works down the baseline, guarded by Gorman. Gorman reaches in, though, and they're going to get her with a foul. Gorman, one of the better defenders on this team, gets caught reaching in on that one. So another baseline inbound, which will reset the shot clock. Gorman going to check out now. That was only her first foul, so not because of any foul issue, but her and Emmy Harris going to check out. Beautiful inbound pass goes right away to Davison, who gets an easy lay-in off the designed inbound. That puts Long Beach State up by 5. 20-15. Utah State trailing right now. Wanting to close that thing up before halftime. We've still got 4 minutes and 45 seconds till the half. But Utah State in an undesirable position. Eliza dishes it over to Duffsey. Duffsey then drives and is fouled as she puts up a shot. So that's going to be a couple of free throws coming for the junior now. Unless they got her before. No, I think they're going to say it's on the shot. Media timeout taken, though, with 4 minutes and 39 seconds to go. Aggies with some ground to make up as they trail 20-15. Thanks for joining us on Aggie Radio for Utah State Women's Hoops. Back in a moment with the rest of quarter number 2.
This program is brought to you in part by Intermountain Logan Regional Hospital Orthopedic and Sports Medicine, featuring individually focused rehabilitation programs, sports performance training for all ages, and orthopedic surgery options. Logan Regional's orthopedic and sports medicine specialists are the official medical providers for Utah State University Athletics, featuring team physicians, team orthopedists, and physical therapists. Learn more at loganregional.org.
What's up, Aggies? Tune in to All Killer, No Filler right here on Aggie Radio from Thursdays 3 to 4, and I'll be your host, Jared Worth.
Hey, this is Jerry Joseph. You're listening to 92.3 FM, KBLU LP, Logan, Utah. Alternative radio for an alternative audience. Love you, Logan.
I remember you laid out on the table with nothing but the beating of your heart.
Shanasia Davison has 8 points for Long Beach State as the Niners lead Utah State 20-15 about midway through the second quarter. A couple of free throws coming up, though, for Shannon Duffsey as we come out of the media timeout. Utah State coming into this game on a 3-game winning streak. They've rolled off consecutive wins. They went on the road to Texas. They beat UTSA and North Texas in consecutive games, then defeated Utah Valley here a week ago today. Trying to make that 4 straight as they head into conference play. First shot is good from Shannon Duffsey to make the lead just 4 now for the Niners. One more coming for the junior from Preston, Australia. Second one good as well. So Duffsey's total now up to 4 on the game. She's got 3 rebounds as well. Utah State's leading scorer and leading rebounder. Two steals on that as well. Spinning, getting into towards the paint, but then turning it over is Davison. Great steal there. That was Duffsey yet again. That's her 3rd steal of the game now. And the Aggies trailing by 3 with possession. Brewster going to work up towards the baseline, hands it off over to Olivia West. Olivia gets a little bit of contact there. They're not going to call it on Kinslow. They say it was clean. Kinslow dishes it off to Davison on the transition, but then an offensive foul called. Eliza West, great job to plant her feet and draw the charge on Davison. Looks like a substitution being made. There's some confusion between the officials, but Utah State will get it back, trailing by 3. Maybe a timeout. I don't know if there was a timeout called or if they're just trying to sort out whatever this substitution issue was. Taking a look at some of the individual leaders so far. For Utah State, the players that have scored, Steph Gorman has 5. She leads the way so far for the Aggies. She made a 3-pointer and then a couple of free throws. Shannon Duffsey has 4. Emmy Harris has 3. Rachel Brewster has 4. And Marlene Aniambosu with 1. And that sums it up for Utah State. 3 rebounds for Haley Bassett Meacham as well, or I'm sorry, for Rachel Brewster as well as for Shannon Duffsey. And then 3 steals for Shannon Duffy as well. So she's kind of doing it all right now. For Long Beach State, 8 points for Davison, though she's also turned the ball over 3 times. And that's in 14 minutes of play. And she's got a rebound and an assist as well. 3 points for Bordenero, 3 points for Kinslow, and a couple apiece for Green, Hunt, and Hamilton Fisher. So the officials are taking a look at something. I don't know. I mean, so there was a charge called on Long Beach State. They called it on Davison as Eliza got down, planted her feet. That's not something that I believe that you can review and overturn as far as the foul goes. So I don't know if they're looking at a score clock issue or what it may be. The Aggies are out on the court, and the officials tell them to give them a little bit of space as they converse. But with 4:06 to go, the score clock shows the scoreboard shows Utah State 20, Long Beach State 20, Utah State 17. The Niners break their huddle as well. They tried to head out to the court, and the officials say we need a little bit more time. So, again, not entirely sure what this is over. Long Beach State, much like the Aggies, has played a pretty tough schedule. You know, they come in 2-10, but we heard Coach Finkbeiner say in the pregame show that when you look at this team, they really do pass the eye test. So it looks like what they're looking at. So Olivia West got elbowed on that, and she wasn't the one that took the charge, so it must have happened just in transition. Olivia West got elbowed and is got a bloody nose, and so they're getting that cleaned up. Maybe they're looking at whether it's whether it's flagrant or not on that foul, and I think that must be what they're reviewing, because you can review whether a foul is flagrant or whether it's a typical foul. But they're sure taking a long time to converse on this and not even looking at the scoring monitor or at the review monitor right now. So teams have had 3-4 minutes of real time in the huddle right now. Basically a de facto timeout. And now they're going to bring in both of the head coaches. Utah State, coached by Jerry Finkbeiner, who's in his 7th season at the helm of the Aggies. Long Beach State, coached by Jeff Kamen in his 2nd season at the helm of Long Beach State. Now, he was an assistant for the 49ers for 6 years, tried his luck out elsewhere, did well enough that they brought him back as the head coach. And, hasn't necessarily gone according to plan so far, but he's got a young squad that's still in the building phases, and they could be something special here in the next few years. A long pass into the front court for Eliza West, who then dishes over to Dudley and then missed on the inbound. So they are going to – it just stays a common foul. Olivia West is, though, over on the bench getting the bloody nose stopped. So for the time being, she's not in the game. But they do say it was just a common foul. Aggies have the ball after a missed bucket, and the rebound was tipped out by the Niners. Now on the right wing, Gorman passes it down to Dudley. Dudley looking over to Duff as he tries to pass it, but it's out of bounds. So another turnover there for Utah State. That's a freshman making a little bit of a freshman mistake. That's turnover number 9 for Utah State. Now remember, this Long Beach State team is -17 in rebound margin this season. That's dead last in the nation. Right now, Utah State leads them just 13-12 in that category. So Kinslow passes over, now has it up top, over to the corner. King on the right side, dishes, great pass, but can't complete. Shanasia Davison gets it, drives, puts it up with one arm, can't connect. Back in transition, a 3 missed by Utah State's Steph Gorman. Long Beach State trying to come back the other way. Eliza West again tries to draw a charge. This time it will go defensive, though. So they're going to get Eliza, say that she was not quite planted in time. And so that will send Kiana Hamilton-Fisher to the free throw line for a couple of shots. Hamilton-Fisher, freshman from Woodland Hills, California, one of several contributing freshmen. There's 4 freshmen that have put in big-time minutes so far this season. She knocks down the first. Only a 56% free throw shooter so far this season. But she's coming off a big performance against Grand Canyon. 5 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals. Kind of a do-it-all player for the Niners. One more shot coming, and the second one missed. I don't think that hit anything. And so 21-17, the score for the Niners with 3 minutes and 11 seconds remaining. Full court pressure now from Long Beach State. They got two players playing defensively. They'll lay off a little bit, though, as Bassett Meacham dishes over to Brewster to bring it across midcourt. Utah State now at 20 seconds on the shot clock, sets up a play. Duffy has it on the right wing. Tight defense there from Hamilton Fisher. She'll work around it, pass over to the corner. Brewster thought about a three, pump fakes, gets inside a little bit, 5 feet inside, shoots, misses. The rebound tipped by Duffy, but goes back over to Davison. Coming back quickly, Davison passes it over, gets it back. Three taken, no good, and the rebound tipped to Brewster. So the Niner lead remains at 4 as the Aggies give me a second to breathe here. Brewster over to the left wing, a three taken by Duffy, missed, and the rebound by Kinslow. Duffy, as great as she has been, has struggled a bit from outside this season. Just a 19% shooter from 3 this season, but Long Beach State then airballs one in the other direction. And so it'll go right back to the Aggies. Points are at a premium. That was Davison missing that three-pointer, missed everything. She's 0 of 3 from outside so far this afternoon. Utah State just 5 of 24 from the field. That's 21%. And still yet, they only trail by 4 and can close that up a little bit on this possession. Mason back into the game. She'll pass it over to Brewster, then a handoff to Eliza West on the right side. She'll take a couple steps, gets in, and stuffed tightly by Sydney Kinslow, and then the transition bucket knocked down by Shanasia Davison. Davison now moves to double figures, the first player to do so in this game, 10 points, and timeout taken by Utah State head coach Jerry Finkbeiner as he wants the squad to regroup. They haven't scored the ball in almost 3 minutes of play, and so probably a wise timeout there. Utah State, well, as you know, we'll keep it here for this timeout. It's just a 30-second timeout. Utah State, again, I just read this stat off, but 5 of 25 from the field. That's 20%. And they've let Long Beach State shoot 48%. Now, the Niners this season, they're allowing opponents to shoot 44.9%. That's 330th in the nation. And so the Aggies, you know, a lot of it is Long Beach State's defense stepping up, and they've certainly played a lot better than those numbers would show. But the Aggies are just missing shots. You know, they're getting some good looks and not connecting on them. So we come out of the timeout as it is Utah State ball. Liza breaks across midcourt by passing it up to Duffy. And now a 22 on the shot clock. Utah State will get into position. Liza guarded by Hamilton Fisher. She'll pass over to Brewster. Brewster puts her arms up, gets it down to Mason on the free throw line. Back over to left wing for Duffy. Duffy takes a step in, tries to pass it back up top. Eliza, nice little nifty move to get up to the free throw line. Jumper missed. Tipped back by Duffy. 2 on the shot clock, though, as that didn't hit anything. And then a turnover as they'll go back to Hamilton Fisher. Hamilton Fisher passes up. Great little fake by Davison to draw the defender off. Misses the first shot, but then goes back up and puts the Niners up 25-17, the largest lead of the game. Aggies have fallen apart in this thing. 1 minute to go here in the half as Eliza gives it over to Brewster. Aggies probably going to try and hurry here. Brewster gives it down to Bassett Meacham. Into the paint, almost turns it over, but Mason there in the right place at the right time. She'll pass it down to Brewster. A turnaround jumper from 5 feet out, missed, and the rebound goes back to the Niners. Davison grabs it. They can extend this 8-point lead even more with 35 seconds to go. Left corner three missed, but the offensive board fought for by Hamilton Fisher. She'll throw it back through a slew of Aggies, and now Long Beach State will be able to hold for the final shot of the quarter. The shot clock's still on, but you know, maybe half a second between shot and game clock here. And so they'll patiently take a step back. Justina King way back at the logo. Starts her drive, stops, passes over right wing. Davison over to the corner. A three missed by Kinslow. Rebound by Bassett Meacham. 3 seconds to go. Eliza going to get up to the half-court line, launch up a shot, which won't come anywhere near the hoop. And at halftime, Utah State has a total of 17 points on 5 of 27 shooting, and they'll head to the locker room trailing 25-17. Nothing going Utah State's way offensively, and a lot of credit goes to this 49er team
for putting the clamps down defensively. You know, they've forced 9 turnovers. They've played much tighter defense than their stats would let you think that they would have leading up to this game. And they've effectively slowed this Utah State offensive attack and held them to just 17 points. The Aggies did not score for the final 4 minutes and 39 seconds of the half, and they went 0 for their last 10 from the field. 1 of their last 13. And so, you know, that's a pretty quick place to point if you're Coach Finkbeiner going into the locker room. You're telling your team, what's going on? It's not necessarily because of lack of good shots, though that has been a little bit of an issue. I think that they've had several that were pretty makeable that they typically would make that they just haven't been able to in this game. So some halftime statistics. Long Beach State shooting 44%, pretty well actually, on 11 of 25. Both teams 2 of 10 from the three-point line. 10 turnovers for the Niners, 9 for Utah State. And 20 rebounds for Long Beach State, 18 for the Aggies. So that was, you know, that's a number I really pointed out to watch in this game. If Utah State can't out-rebound Long Beach State, it's going to be a really tough game. And they've got their work cut out for them in the second half. Again, a lot of credit goes to this 49er team. They were led in the first half by Shanasia Davison, 12 points. She's also got 4 rebounds and has gone 6 of 13 from the field. She led the team last season in points per game and assists per game, and is coming out, put on a show this afternoon. Other players have scored for the Niners: Kinslow with 3, Hamilton Fisher with 3, Bordenero with 3, and then 2 apiece for Hunt and Green. So it's really been the Shanasia Davison show here in the first half for Utah State. Leading scorer, just 5 points. That's Steph Gorman with 5, 4 for Duffy as well as for Brewster, 3 for Emmy Harris, and 1 for Marlene Aniambosu, and that rounds it out. We're going to take a halftime timeout, take 8 or so minutes, come back with the second half of action. But thanks for joining us here on Aggie Radio and AggieRadio.com, as well as those of you joining us here on the Mountain West Network and Stadium for Utah State Women's Hoops. Back in a moment with second half here at the Dee Glen Smith Spectrum between Utah State and Long Beach State. At halftime, it's Long Beach State 25, Utah State 17.
Aggie Basketball is brought to you by 92.3 KBLU in Macy's, located at 49 East 400 North in Logan and 50 Utah 165 in Providence. Macy's offers a variety of food and drinks for game days, as well as watch parties. Macy's. Happy shopping.
Just for a moment as we stare, projecting our thoughts into the air, as if we had practiced it before. Our minds danced hand in hand, and choreographed by both our lives, told like stories through our eyes. All of the world frozen in time, and this is how we woke up. Now you remember who we are. We were nothing in the dark. There was something like a love to love. Have to know we all fall.
This is Mikey Kettinger, and you're listening to KBLU 92.3 FM, Logan, Utah.
From Learfield on the Aggie Sports Network, this is Utah State women's basketball. Let's go to courtside.
A low-scoring first half between Utah State and Long Beach State, particularly on the Utah State side. Just 17 points on 5 made buckets the entire first half for the Aggies as they trail Long Beach State 25-17. Welcome back to the Dee Glen Smith Spectrum, and thanks for joining us for Utah State Women's Hoops here on Aggie Radio all season long. Utah State, you know, you go 5 of 27 in the first half, and there's not much room, not really anywhere else to go but up here in the second half. And, you know, you look at it that way, and they still only trail by 8. However, the first quarter, they scored 8 points. In the second quarter, they scored 9 points. So, certainly a little bit of work to do for Utah State as they come into the second half. But we've seen this offense kind of go, you know, they've been a little bit streaky this season. We've seen them have stretches, maybe not quite this poor at any point of the season, but they've had some really good stretches where, you know, they go 10 of 15 on a stretch and just really start to light things up. I'm not foreshadowing or saying that's what's going to happen, but they're certainly capable of it. And coming out in the second half, Utah State does have, you know, they have a more experienced team. They've been through a lot, and now a primarily upperclassmen team that's been together for several years in a row. We're going to see how they respond to adversity. 17 points and a half, though, is really below any expectation you could ever have, and I'm sure that Coach Finkbeiner let them know it at halftime. On top of going 5 of 27 in the first half, another stat that really stood out to me as I was looking at some of the numbers at halftime. Utah State went 2 of 9 on layups. 2 of 9. Now, you have to give credit to Long Beach State down low because they've played some really good post defense, but you got to go higher than 2 of 9 if you're Utah State. You know, if you make 5 of 9 from layups, all of a sudden, this is a whole different game. Then instead of trailing by 8 at halftime, you're trailing by 2. Just by making a few more layups. And so it's the small, you know, I said it a few times in the first half, but Utah State has gotten some good looks, and they just haven't capitalized. And that's a perfect illustration of that. So Utah State has also had 35 possessions, and they scored buckets on 5 of them. Another pretty astounding number there, and something to watch out for as we head into the second half. They've been out-rebounded 20-18 by Long Beach State, and you know, I certainly put a lot of this on the Aggies just not performing. But again, you have to give a lot of credit to Long Beach State because they came in here a 2-10 record. They haven't picked up a road win yet this season, and they've just come out swinging, and they're really making things tough for Utah State. We've got a couple minutes to go, well, about a minute and a half till we begin the second half of action. Let's take a look at some of the scores around the Mountain West. Now, this is the one and only Mountain West Conference game going on today, and really the only conference game until December 29th because all the teams are off for Christmas. A little bit of a lull in Mountain West Conference play, but there have been a lot of games the last 2 days. On Thursday, Oregon defeated Air Force 82-36. Oregon, boy, they are such a good team as the Aggies and as the 49ers know. They've both played Oregon this season. Arizona State defeated Fresno State 68-52. Wyoming defeated South Dakota State 77-70. New Mexico defeated Stephen F. Austin 74-33, and Nevada defeated Seattle 67-54. Then on Friday, so yesterday, Colorado State comes up with a win over Denver 84-79. UNLV, this is a big one, a win over Florida, and Funda Nagasoglu's current team, ex-Aggie player down at Florida, they defeat them 56-53 in Las Vegas yesterday. UC Santa Barbara defeats San Diego State 63-58, and San Diego a win over San Jose State 83-79. Most of these teams just kind of rounding things out. There are a total of 4 more non-conference games after this,
as Nevada has Hawaii, Colorado State has Chadron State, New Mexico has Long Beach State, and Fresno State has Fresno Pacific, and that's it. And then Mountain West play is in full swing starting January 2nd. So get ready. Mountain West hoops are always fun. It's always a good competitive conference. I'm expecting nothing less this season as the Aggies conclude their preseason play, looking for a win, but trailing 25-17 as we begin the second half. Niner ball, but a very quick steal. Eliza West just takes it right out of the hands of Davison. Stops in transition, tries to turn around and go up, and is fouled by Davison for a couple of free throws. Good hustle play to spark the second half off in the right way for Utah State. And, you know, Utah State did a very poor job at scoring from the field. They went, again, 5 of 27, but they did get to the free throw line and took 6 shots, made 5 of them. So that's where a good chunk of those points came from. Eliza, though, misses her first on this possession. And, you know, you got to make them when they're given to you like this. But one more coming for Eliza. Second one missed as well, and the defensive board, I should say, by Kinslow. So Utah State was given a couple of free ones there. They can't connect on either, and they still trail 25-17 as neither team has gotten on the board here yet in the second half of action. For the Niners, here's Davison. Davison, who did almost everything for them in the first half. Trying to continue a good game, but she turns it over. She tried to pass it back to King, and there's just a miscommunication. Went off King's arm into the back court, which will give it back to Utah State. A couple of quick turnovers here in the second half as the first 2 Long Beach State possessions result in turnovers. That was number 11 and number 12 for Long Beach State in this game. Utah State can get on the board here first in the second half. Emmy Harris has it on the left wing and will dish it up to Gorman. Gorman over to the right wing for Liza West. Liza now baseline jumper as she passes over to Duffy. Duffy can't connect from 18 feet out, but then a foul called on the rebound against Long Beach State. That's Naomi Hunt picking one up. The sophomore from Fullerton, California, picks up her her third personal foul. And that's 2 quick ones for Long Beach State, just 1 minute in to the second half. And already a couple on the board, so she checks out now, and Green checks in. A jumper by 4 is by Gorman is stopped, and then Utah State grabs the board, but then a foul called on Deja Mason. So it'll go back to Long Beach State. A minute and 10 seconds here into the second half. Neither team has been able to score yet. The score still sitting at 25-17. Kinslow, the transfer who's making her first appearance in this game, stops, passes it back. Davison will get a screen. She'll use it from Green. Pass over to the corner. Hamilton Fisher tries to drive the baseline, then kicks, and then a steal as the official goes down, as does Green. Utah State back down on the other end of the court. The official finally getting up, but he might as well stay there, though, as Utah State then turns it over again, and the lay-in the other way missed. If this start to the half doesn't sum it up for both of these teams, I don't know what does. Aggies are now 5 of 30 from the field. Can they snap that streak here? A corner 3 missed by Duffy, but then Eliza West, the shortest player on the court, grabs the board and puts it back up and in, and comes up with her first bucket of the game at a very important time to bring the lead back down to 6. Aggies finally snapped a scoring drought of about 5 minutes going into the second quarter. Jumper taken and knocked down as Long Beach State answers. That's Davison. Davison, the only player on this Long Beach State team with more than a handful of points, as Emmy Harris misses it, but another offensive board by Eliza West. She'll try and drive, loses it out of bounds, though. The only player with more than 3 points on Long Beach State is Davison, but she's got 14. She's also the only player that's taken more than 3 shots, and she's taken 14. So it has been all her. And, you know, if you're Utah State, I don't know why you don't go with a little bit more of a double team look on her, try and slow this thing down. She's the only player doing anything offensively. Here's Davison yet again, guarded by Olivia West. She'll pass it over, and then driving, taking a shot, and missing is Hamilton Fisher. The rebound by Gorman, and then a foul called on Kinslow as she went up for the rebound. So that's her second foul, and that's already team foul number 3 for the Niners. And in a game where points have been at such a premium, getting into foul trouble could be costly, as you don't want to give anybody points the easy way. 27-19, Long Beach State in the lead. Olivia takes a step up to the left wing, but then has it knocked out of bounds by Davison. So the Aggies will have 17 on the shot clock when they inbound from the far side hash. Gorman will be the inbounder. The freshman inbounds it right away to Eliza West. Eliza goes right then left, guarded by Davison. Pass over to Gorman on the right wing. She'll try to pass, and then another turnover for the Aggies as she tried to get it to Bassett Meacham. Bassett Meacham goes to the floor, and then a travel on Bria Rice. And I don't know about that because she was kind of stepping over Haley Bassett Meacham, who was trying to force the jump ball and come up with a steal, and so she lost her footing a little bit. I'm not sure it wasn't entirely caused by Bassett Meacham being on the floor, but it will go as a turnover nonetheless for Long Beach State, and the Aggies will take it. Here's Duffy. Duffy takes a shot from 5 feet out, and they don't get much better looks than that, but she misses yet again, and that's kind of been the story of the game for Utah State. Hardy dishes it out to Davison. 17 on the shot clock. She tries to pass it back down, and then Gorman swoops in, tries to come up with a steal, but can't control it before it goes out. So the baseline inbound coming. It'll be 14 on the shot clock as they get it in right away to Hardy. Hardy guarded by Bassett Meacham. Bassett Meacham hits the floor, and they're going to call the offensive foul on Hardy. Good job there by Haley Bassett Meacham to plant her feet, hit the floor, and draw the charge. That'll be turnover number 15 for the Niners. Typically when you can force 15 turnovers in a quarter, in 2.5 quarters, you're in pretty good shape, but not when you shoot 18% on the other side of the floor. With 15 on the shot clock, Olivia passes up to Eliza, then back over to Olivia. She'll take a step towards the corner, try and get up the baseline, double teamed, works around. I don't know if she's trying to call a timeout, but she finally does. Good job there to call a timeout after getting trapped, though not an ideal position to get yourself in. So 5:33 to go in the quarter. It'll be 7 seconds on the shot clock once the Aggies come back out of the timeout. We'll take a timeout with them, as that will be our media timeout. It's Long Beach State 27, Utah State 19.
Hey, this is Jerry Joseph. You're listening to 92.3 FM, KBLU LP, Logan, Utah. Alternative radio for an alternative audience. Love you, Logan.
I remember you laid out on the table with nothing but the beating of your heart.
Aggie Basketball is brought to you by 92.3 KBLU and the Utah Toyota dealers. The new line of Toyota Corollas, Camrys, and Tacomas are available at Toyota dealership locations throughout the state of Utah or at toyota.com.
With 5:33 to go here in the third quarter, Utah State trails Long Beach State 19-27. Easily the worst offensive showing we've seen from Utah State so far this season. And 2 points scored so far in this second half after going on a 4-minute scoring drought to close out the first half. And so Utah State just in desperate need of offense from anywhere. I don't know, at this point, do you just tweak your lineups? Do you try different offensive sets out? it doesn't seem like they've done much of any of that, but we come out of the timeout. Utah State does have the ball. Bassett Meacham in there trying to provide a spark, turns around, jump shot is good, and that's really the first tough shot Utah State has made in this game. Haley Bassett Meacham, you know, she is a very capable scorer, as she's shown several times this season. And if she can get things going, things might be okay for the Aggies. They trail 27-21. Jumper taken from near the three-point line in the corner, missed by Hardy. Eliza West grabs another rebound. She's going to drive, put it up with the lefty off the glass, misses, and the rebound fought for between a couple of Long Beach State players. It's going to be, that's Hamilton Fisher coming away with it, and then a charge called the other way on Kiana Hamilton Fisher. So she got it. Olivia West planted her feet and draws yet another charge. So that's turnover number 16 for the Niners. They're calling for another timeout. They're saying this is a media timeout, but the timeout we just took was a media timeout, so I think there's a little bit of confusion. Regardless, we'll keep it here for this timeout. Utah State, it's not a pretty stat line when you look down. 7 of 36 from the field, 2 of 12 from the three-point line, 12 turnovers. They finally got out in the lead in the rebounding category, up 25-24, and they do have 9 offensive boards. But they just, you know, at this point of the game, you just need offense from anywhere you can get it. Your leading scorer so far has 5 points, and that's Steph Gorman, who's taken 5 shots and gone 1 of 5. You have one player on the entire team that's made more than 1 bucket, and that was Rachel Brewster, who made 2 quick early ones and then has sat on the bench for much of the rest of the quarter. And so I don't know what you do at this point if you're Coach Finkbeiner besides just hope that shots start to fall, because, again, I don't think that much of it, you know, some of it's schematically and some of it is things that you can do as a coach to change things around, but some of it's just your players not hitting shots. And at some point, you would hope that that turns around. Shannon Duffy, who's your leading scorer, is 4 points with 1 of 9 from the field. Now she's doing other things. She's got 3 steals and 4 rebounds, and she's still making an impact. But when your leading scorer is 1 of 9, that hurts a little bit. You've got a couple of players that are 1 of 5. Eliza West and Steph Gorman, both 1 of 5. Emmy Harris, 1 of 4. Haley Bassett Meacham, 1 of 3. And so, I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the coach in this situation. But if Utah State doesn't start to get some points up here in the next little while, they're going to have quite the mountain to climb. Still a 6-point game, though, as we come out of the timeout. Aggies do have the ball with under 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, second half, I should say. But then Gorman turns it over yet again. She is really struggling with that tonight. That is her 5th turnover of the game. But luckily for her, the Niners are going to give it right back as we have a turnover by King. Back the other way, the freshman from Scarborough, Canada, giving it back to Utah State. It's been a turnover fest, 17 now for Long Beach State, 13 for Utah State. 4.5 minutes to go. Eliza gives over to the right wing to Olivia West. She's guarded tightly by Bordanaro, I should say. Gorman gets trapped, passes over to Duffy. Duffy, nice little move to get up. I said she was 1 of 10. Well, 1 of 9. Now she's 2 of 10 as she knocks down a good shot there. And those kind of shots, those will bring Utah State back in this thing, as it's a 4-point game again. Feels like a bigger deficit than it is. But a jumper taken and missed by Bordanaro. She tries the 3. She's a Pepperdine transfer, can't connect on that. And then Olivia West lays it up the other way. So just like that, Utah State makes 3 shots in a row and brings this thing back to within a 2-point game. So, you know, I'll just say it, as bad as that first 2.5 quarters was, all of that is not going to matter if Utah State can just start to play well from here on out or to play even average. Beautiful move there. Davison, she's got some moves. Kicks it over to the corner, and then a 3 taken and knocked down by King. All thanks to that assist from Davison. I mean, not all thanks. I mean, that was a great shot as well, but she really set her up nicely there. And Davison is a very impressive player. There's a reason she was preseason all Big West as just a sophomore. Olivia West is fouled as she tries to shoot a jumper from near the baseline. She's going to go to the free throw line for a couple as they'll get Davison with that foul. For Davison, that's personal foul number 3. So a little bit of room for worry there, and that's team foul number 6. So every foul from here on out on Long Beach State, at least through the remainder of this quarter, of course, will send the Aggies to the free throw line, though that was on the shot regardless. So Olivia West, who is a 77% free throw shooter, has a chance for a couple now. Can bring Utah State back within 3 if she knocks them both down. I think they were looking at something on the clock as the official was over at the scores table for a moment, and they're about to make Long Beach State about to make a sub after this shot. Olivia's first one rolls in and out. That's the 3rd consecutive missed free throw from Utah State. They're 0 of 3 from the stripe so far this half. So the sub, as Davison comes out for a well-deserved rest. Can't imagine it'll last long. Hamilton Fisher comes in, and the second shot good. Makes it 26-30, Utah State trailing. Aggies again go with a little bit of the full court press. Kinslow breaks it without too much trouble, though, and then he'll hand it back over to Hamilton Fisher. I'm sorry, that's King. Yeah, sorry. Then King does hand it over to Hamilton Fisher. She's guarded by Gorman. Back up to Kinslow. Kinslow tries to pass it down low, and they're going to get Duffy reaching in on Hardy. Just Utah State's second foul of this quarter. Utah State has really done a nice job staying out of any sort of foul trouble in this game, which has been an issue in the last few. And so that's an encouraging thing. They've cleaned that up a little bit. What a crafty move there. King inbounded off the back of an Aggie player to herself as she saw nobody was facing her. So she throws it off the back and then inbounds it, but then missed the lay-in, which would have completed a highlight reel play for sure there. Still a crafty move, though, as Utah State has it back, trailing by 4. Gorman up top to Duffy. She thought about a 3 there, but saw the outreached arms of Kinslow and thought twice. Now Eliza going to work off a screen from Duffy, dish it back over to her. Duffy gets inside the free throw line, shoots, misses, almost grabs her own board. It's tipped around, eventually goes back to Eliza. Now another jumper, Bassett Meacham, misses again, and they're going to get Duffy reaching over the top of Hamilton Fisher on that rebound attempt. So to go back to the Niners. You don't hate that, though, for Utah State. You get several looks, most of them pretty good looks, and then a foul, which is a tough foul, but it's an effort foul if nothing else. So Rachel Brewster going to check back in for Eliza West. Brewster, you know, she's only played 12 minutes in this game, but I felt she had a pretty good impact while she was in there. She's already got 4 points and 5 rebounds in that 12 minutes, and is one of the only Aggie players, one of 2 Aggie players that's made more than a shot. And so I think a lot of Aggie fans glad to see her back in there. Hardy tries to drive and is fouled, but then knocks down the shot regardless, and so that'll be an and-one opportunity. Bassett Meacham picking up the foul. Big play there, which puts the Niners up 32-26 with an opportunity to extend that even more. And the shot good from Hardy. So Hardy now with, that was her first points of the game, now with 3 points. She only played 14 minutes. 1 of 3 from the field. A little bit of a full court pressure look as Long Beach State puts Hamilton Fisher back in the backcourt. Utah State, no issues there, though. And then Brewster gets it on the right wing, passes up top to Duffy. Duffy going to get into the paint and gets fouled. She'll go to the free throw line now for a couple. Shannon Duffy, who's 2 of 2 from the free throw stripe so far. She's got 6 points and leads Utah State in scoring, but that's on 2 of 11 shooting. Though seems to be getting things going here a little bit in the second half. First shot is good. Makes it 33-27. Aggies trailing, 1 minute and 40 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Second shot, good as well. So Duffy now 4 of 4 from the stripe. Free throws really keeping Utah State in this thing. They've taken 12, made 8, while Long Beach State has only taken 5 and made 2. Here's King for the Niners, gets it, nice screen set by Hardy, which will get Hardy wide open for a 3. Up top, missed though. The rebound chased, eventually goes out of bounds. They're going to say off of Olivia West. She got a fingertip on it, they say, before she was knocked to the ground by Hardy, and so it will stay Niner ball. The inbound coming from right in front of the Long Beach State bench goes into Hamilton Fisher. 25 on the shot clock. It was essentially reset. I think there were a couple seconds taken off of it on the inbound. King backs down into the corner. Pass over to Hamilton Fisher. Interesting to see how this team is faring without Davidson on the court. Ball tipped up into the air, but it's recovered by Hamilton Fisher, who then goes up and is fouled on the way to the hoop. That's a foul again on Haley Bassett Meacham to again send the Niners to the free throw line. So that's Bassett Meacham's second personal, and that's Utah State's fifth. So every foul for the rest of the last 53 seconds of this quarter on either side will result in free throws. Gorman going to check out. Eliza West going to check back in as the first shot is good from Hamilton Fisher. One more coming for the freshman from Woodland Hills, California. And the second one rolls in and out, but the offensive board, as that was Green swooping right past Haley Bassett Meacham to grab the offensive board. I don't know what Utah State was doing on that one. And then another foul on the Aggies. That's going to be more free throws for the Niners. They're going to get Olivia West there. That is her second, but again, Utah State's sixth. So free throws coming now for Justina King. And that's just giving them the easy way. King, the freshman from Scarborough, Canada. She's played with Team Canada in the 2018 FIBA U18 Americas Championship. She misses her first and has one more to come. 72% free throw shooter. And she attempts more than anybody else on this team. She's taken almost 4 per game. Second one, good. So 40 seconds on the game clock. Utah State takes almost the full 5 seconds to get it in bounds as a full court pressure looking good for Long Beach State. Utah State finally brings it across, though. Liza West gets some trouble, but then steps over the half-court line. She got double-teamed, tried to work out of it, steps into the back court, and there's another turnover for Utah State. The Aggies seem to be making a little bit of a run, brought this thing back down to a 2-point game, and turnovers and poor fouls have given it right back to the Niners as they lead 35-28. There are 30.6 seconds on the game clock, and so they can essentially hold this thing for the last shot here. Game clock the shot clock will remain on, but with that little time separating, you use your best clock wasting techniques here and just try and hold for the last one, I imagine. And that appears to be what they're doing. So King has it, steps over to the right wing, passes it up to Davison. Davison goes down low and is stuffed out of bounds by Shannon Duffesey. A great block there. And it will result in an inbound from the baseline with 8 seconds to go. Aggies are going to send Deja Mason in for some defense. Send Haley Bassett Meacham to the bench. So 8 seconds to get this final shot off. They inbound it. Here's Davison. Davison working towards the paint. Has it poked around a little bit. A three-pointer taken from the corner by King after a broken play, and she'll miss. So we'll go into the fourth quarter with the same deficit as we had at halftime. An 8-point lead for Long Beach State. 35-28 after 3 quarters. Can the Aggies get it going in the fourth quarter? We'll find out after this break here on Aggie Radio.
This is Mikey Kettinger, and you're listening to KBLU 92.3 FM, Logan, Utah.
You're listening to Aggie Radio 92.3 KBLU LP, Logan. Discover the alternative.
Utah State basketball is brought to you by Aggie Radio 92.3 KBLU and Zions Bank. More information about banking services available at zionsbank.com.
3 quarters in the books, 1 left to play here at the Spectrum. And typically an 8-point game going into the 4th quarter, you expect a pretty exciting game, but unless Utah State can get things going offensively, it might not be that. Utah State has shot just 9 of 40 from the field for 23% and 28 points through 3 quarters. They scored 8 in the first, 9 in the second, and 11 in the 3rd quarter. I misspoke at the end of that 3rd quarter. I said we had the same deficit going into the 3rd quarter as we did at halftime. That's actually not the case, as this deficit sitting at 7 for Utah State. It was 8 at halftime, so they outscored Long Beach State 11-10 in the 3rd quarter. Back underway, Utah State has the ball as we come out of the timeout, and a quick foul as Duffy tries to go up and gets caught on the arm by Jasmine Hardy. So a couple more free throws coming for Shannon Duffy, who's 4 of 4 from the stripe so far tonight. And Duffy, who on the season is shooting 78% from the stripe. She leads the team with 8 points, 6 rebounds as well, and 3 steals, and she knocks down free throw number 1. That brings Utah State back within 6. 1 more coming. That one's good as well. So 5-point game. Utah State quickly, just 14 seconds into the quarter, gets a couple of points on the board. And, you know, while it is, it's been a really, really, really ugly game for Utah State. A quick little run here, and they could get it right back. A corner 3 missed by Davison. Aggies grab the rebound, and then Brewster tries to go up in transition, is fouled. As she does so, she'll go to the free throw line for a couple. Almost made the shot as well. And so 2 free throws coming for Rachel Brewster. Brewster, who's a very good free throw shooter as well. But she's only been to the line 1 time this entire season. She's taken 2 free throws, has gone 2 of 2 this season, and she knocks down the first. She led the team in free throw percentage last season and has been very consistent from the stripe her entire career. Just hasn't gotten there very much this year. Second one good as well, nothing but net. Makes it look easy. And just like that, it's a 3-point game. 30 seconds into the 4th quarter, and Utah State gets 4 quick buckets from the free throw line. So with the score 35-32, Utah State again goes with some full court pressure. Hasn't worked particularly well in this game. Long Beach State breaks it, and then an easy jumper set up for Hamilton Fisher, who gets into the paint, puts it up with one hand, and gets the easy bucket after breaking that full court pressure. We'll see if Utah State elects to stick with it. Olivia passes it up top to Gorman. Gorman looking around for her options, gives it back over to Olivia on the right wing. Olivia going to try corner 3, no good, and the long rebound goes to Hamilton Fisher. So back to a 5-point game. Olivia swoops in, tries to steal a long pass, but can't control it, knocks it out of bounds instead. It'll stay Long Beach State ball with an inbound coming from the from just in front of the bench. Here's Kinslow. Kinslow, the Illinois transfer, dumps it down to Hamilton Fisher, back up to Kinslow. King hands it off to Davison. Davison, who has 14 points in this game, trying to add to her impressive total. A dish over to Hunt. Hunt steps up, jumper no good, but the offensive rebound by Kinslow. In the rebounding column, now Long Beach State leads at 31-30. The team with the lowest rebound margin in the nation, not showing that this afternoon, but then Kinslow has it stripped. A good steal there by the Aggies. That was Steph Gorman swooping in and coming away with it, her second steal of the afternoon. In the corner, Olivia gets a little bit of a trap, then passes it up to Gorman. Gorman over the right wing for Brewster. This Long Beach State team really swarming to the ball everywhere it goes. Left wing 3 taken and missed by Gorman, and then tipped right back up by Duffy. I don't think she was trying to tip it. I think she was trying to grab the rebound, but it goes right back up off the glass and in. Duffy finally breaks into double figures, the first Aggie to do so, and then a blocking transition by Rachel Brewster, who is having a great game to stop the lay-in the other way. Utah State trails by 3, 7:44 to go here in this game.
The baseline inbound with 24 seconds goes right away. They use about one of those 24 seconds as Naomi Hunt goes right up and puts it in from 7 feet out on the baseline. A timeout called by the Niners with 7 minutes and 41 seconds to go. We'll take it with them and come back with the rest of quarter number 4 here on Aggie Radio. It's 39 for Long Beach State, 34 for the Aggies.
Aggie Basketball is brought to you by 92.3 KBLU and the Utah Toyota dealers. The new line of Toyota Corollas, Camrys, and Tacomas are available at Toyota dealership locations throughout the state of Utah or at toyota.com.
This is Claire, USU Class of 2017 from Sociology, Social Work, and Anthropology. You're listening to Aggie Radio on 92.3 FM, KBLU LP Logan, from Utah State University, alternative radio for an alternative audience.
This broadcast is brought to you by Aggie Radio 92.3 KBLU and Bryant Heating and Cooling. Bryant Heating and Cooling offers a variety of services, including heating and air conditioning installation, maintenance, and repair. More information is available at utahbryant.com.
It's a 5-point game as we come into the home stretch here at the Dee Glen Smith Spectrum. Utah State trailing Long Beach State 39-34. If Utah State can overcome this deficit and come out of this game with a win, they will head into conference play with a above 500 record and with a 4-game winning streak, which would be huge for momentum. But that's not going to be an easy task as Long Beach State defensively has really locked them down through much of this game, and offensively has played pretty well as well, aside from the 18 turnovers. They're shooting 39% and just making life tough on the Aggies. Coach Finkbeiner said before this game, you look at their record, they're 2-10, and a lot of times you would walk into that game thinking, oh, you know, we should be able to beat a 2-10 team. He said, though, that the eye test for this Long Beach State team shows that they are a much better team than that, and they've had a tough schedule, as have the Aggies. Utah State has the ball as we come out of the fourth quarter media timeout. Liza tries to pass it over to Brewster, and a rare turnover there by Eliza West as it's taken away by Hamilton Fisher, but then the Aggies take it right back in transition as Shannon Duffesey comes up with yet another steal. That's her 4th of the game. So the deficit remains at 5. Corner 3 taken. Rachel Brewster, no good, but the offensive board by Deja Mason. She's going to try and back down, go back up with it, misses as she goes back up. Another offensive board, though, by Duffesey. Goes to the ground with it, tries to force a jump ball, but it's taken away by Hamilton Fisher. And that's just some good scrappiness by the freshman, Hamilton Fisher. So with a 5-point lead, Long Beach State takes it back. There's going to be a foul called, though, on the Niners. No, I think they said that, yeah, they're going to get Eliza West down low. She kind of reached in on a pass. And so that's Utah State's just their first team foul here of the fourth quarter. And that's the second for Eliza. Deja Mason checks out, at least for the time being, as Bassett Meacham comes back in. The inbound goes to a jump ball as Bassett Meacham hits the floor with Hunt. It will stay Long Beach State ball as they have the possession arrow in their favor. So now the inbound from the baseline will have 28 on the shot clock. And a great little move as they inbound it to Hunt. She just dishes over her shoulder to Davison for an easy lay-in as it drew a couple of Aggie defenders in. And the Long Beach State lead back up to 7 yet again. Brewster trying to pass it over to Duffesey. Liza West in the right place at the right time to recover after a near turnover. Now Liza gets in the corner, passes over to the right wing. Brewster tries from just inside the three-point line, is fouled, and will go to the free throw line to shoot 2. So Rachel Brewster only took 2 free throws this entire season up until this game, and now she's taking her 3rd and 4th of this second half. First one good. Remains perfect on the year from the stripe of 5 of 5. Second one good as well, so that brings the lead back to 5. 41-36, 6:12 to go.
That foul went on King. I don't think I noted Justina King picking up the foul there. Aggies grab a steal in transition. I guess as they try to bring it across midcourt, that was Shannon Duffsey coming up with it. So Utah State can close it up even more here. Brewster has it on the right wing outside the three-point line. She'll pass it back up to Eliza West. Eliza to Duffsey. Duffsey with 4 on the shot clock. Works up, gets the nice look, but can't connect on the lane. Grabs the offensive board, goes back up, misses again, but is fouled, and will go to the line for a couple more. So Utah State doing a very good job of getting to the stripe here in the second half, and that's what's kept them in it. They have taken 18 free throws in this game. Now Duffsey goes trying to make number 19 and 20. She can bring this thing back within a 3-point game if she knocks down both of these. First one good. Duffsey again a 78% free throw shooter on the season. She's a perfect 7 of 7 from the stripe so far tonight. She's only gone 3 of 13 from the field, but when she's gotten to the free throw line, hasn't missed yet. One more to come. That one's good as well. Utah State 5 of 17 in this game on layups. Duffsey comes into the backcourt. I don't know about that foul because she reached in. It looked, maybe it was just my angle. It looked like she just got the ball. They say she got a little bit of the arm. I'll give the benefit of the doubt to the official that had a much better angle than I did. But they'll get Duffsey in the backcourt with a foul. So the inbound in the backcourt by Long Beach State. Here's King. King on the left wing. She's guarded by Duffsey. Passes over to the corner. Now back up to Davison. Davison over the right wing, then over to the corner. Hardy thinking about a 3. She's guarded by Bassett Meacham. Passes it back up to Kinslow. Good job passing and distributing the ball around here by Long Beach State, but then Olivia West swoops in, tries to get the steal. A last-second shot taken to beat the shot clock and missed by King, but then she grabs her own board as the three-point rebound went long. And so now she has a fresh shot clock and can set something up again. She's working against Eliza, spins, works into the paint, goes to the ground, and travels. And so another turnover there for the Niners. That's turnover number 21 of the game. So King did a really good job. I mean, that was a great effort. She got the ball as the shot clock was expiring. Still got a pretty good shot off, then grabbed her own board. But then kind of fell to the ground as she was going into the paint and gets called with the travel. So Utah State gets the ball now, trailing by 3. And, you know, I've said it a few times, as ugly as this thing has been, it's a 3-point game, and there's still 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go for the Aggies. Brewster has it on the left wing. She'll take a step in, shoot, rattles around, and goes in. Rachel Brewster makes it a 1-point game on the long shot, and she has been, in my estimation, the player of the game. Another steal there. Duffsey grabs the steal at the 3-point line after the inbound, and Utah State has it now trailing by 1. 4 minutes and 18 seconds to go. Brewster on the right wing, passes up top to Eliza. Eliza back down to Duffsey. Duffsey who came up with yet another huge steal, dishes it over. Brewster turnaround jumper, elbow, goes! Utah State back out in the lead, 42-41. An 8-0 run for the Aggies in 2 minutes of play. Things falling apart here for the Niners, but it's still a 1-point game. Spinning, getting into the lane, Davison puts one up, misses. Duffsey grabs the rebound, and when it rains, it pours. Utah State has to be feeling good, but they, you know, it's a 1-point game, and with 3.5 minutes to go, you just want to gather yourself, get the most of every possession here from this point out in such a low-scoring affair. Also worth note, 4 fouls on the board for Long Beach State. Any more will send Utah State to the free throw line. Left corner 3, Olivia West puts Utah State up by 4. Utah State on an 11-0 run, and it's 45-41, timeout taken by the Niners. Olivia West, what a time to connect from her first 3-pointer of the game. Utah State has made now 3 straight field goals. Again, an 11-0 run that took 2 minutes and 48 seconds. And for Utah State fans, I think that you were kind of waiting cautiously through the entire, through the first 3.5 quarters for something like that to happen, because where it was such a low-scoring game, it was so tight throughout, and Utah State was just shooting so poorly, you were probably thinking, if they could just shoot decently, if they could just get any little bit of a run, all of a sudden they're back in the lead, and finally they do.
here towards the end. Now, look, it's still a 4-point game with 3.5 minutes to go. This thing has got a long ways to go. But Utah State, with an 11-0 run, has to be feeling good. So we come back out of the timeout. Long Beach State ball, a little bit of a bobbled ball there by King. She picks up her pass, or picks up her dribble, but then passes it, and they break the full court press by Utah State and set things up. Here's King working off a screen. They get the switch. Bassett Meacham tries to work through a screen, but a great screen sets up an open shot for Hunt there. The screen set by Kinslow, and Long Beach State brings it back within one on the three-pointer by Hunt. Boy, we're coming down to the wire here. Brewster over to the corner for Olivia West. She draws the foul. That's going to send her to the free throw line. Kinslow had her legs sticking out as she was playing defense, and with that being the 5th foul for Long Beach State. 2 free throws coming for Olivia West, and that's a really good position to be in for Utah State, knowing any foul you can draw here for the final 2 minutes and 45 seconds of this game sends you to the free throw line. Utah State, who has shot 16 of 20 from the stripe in this game. The Aggies have struggled all season long to get to the free throw line. I have to imagine, I'll check, but I have to imagine this is the most they've gotten to the free throw line at any point of the season. The first shot is good, and one more coming. Utah State actually ranks towards the very bottom of the nation in free throws attempted. Both good there, though, for Olivia West, who made the big three-pointer to put Utah State up 4. She knocks down both to put Utah State up 3 now. It's 47-44, 2.5 minutes to go, 2:36 to be exact. King guarded by Eliza West. She passes over to Kinslow. Kinslow making her Long Beach State debut. Back over to the right wing for King. Then up top, driving Hamilton Fisher goes up, can't make the lay-in, and the rebound by Shannon Duffesey. Duffesey, as much as she struggled from the field, now has 9 rebounds, 6 steals, and she's gone 8 of 8 from the stripe. Here's Eliza. Eliza with 15 on the shot clock, passes over to left wing. Olivia West has a 3 wide open, takes it, hits the side of the rim, though, and the rebound goes to Davison. That would have been huge, and you don't hate that take if you're a Utah State fan, as she was wide open. Olivia West, a very good shooter, and a very explosive score. So we've got 1 minute and 49 seconds to go. 3-point game. Long Beach State ball. Driving, stopping, shooting. Hunt up over Duffesey. Great look there. And Naomi Hunt coming up big when it matters. The sophomore from Fullerton, who was an all-freshman team in the Big West last season, making a big play. A 1-point game, 1.5 minutes to go. Utah State leads 47-46. Olivia West passes over to Brewster. Brewster on the left wing. Gets the defense drawn in, passes over Eliza now on the right wing, stops, moves towards the corner, picks up the dribble, passes over the left corner. Jumper taken. Brewster can't quite connect from just inside the three-point line, but then a foul called on the rebound, which will send Utah State to the free throw line. The foul on Hunt sends Haley Bassett Meacham to the stripe for 2 shots. Utah State taking advantage of the foul situation which Long Beach State has put itself in. Again, in the bonus, and so every foul from here on out results in Utah State free throws. Haley Bassett Meacham, who was 10 of 14 from the stripe heading into this game and hasn't been to the stripe yet in this one, is the shooter for Utah State. So not a bad free throw shooter by any means. The junior forward from Layton, Utah. We have a little bit of a tie-up. I'm not sure what the tie-up is. I think it's a substitution thing. So the teams regroup momentarily, but it will be free throws coming as we get back out onto the court. Looks like both, at least Utah State set to make some subs, as Gorman and Annie Mbosu will go in probably after these free throws. Gorman comes in right away for Eliza West. Annie Mbosu waiting to check in. First shot, good. Haley Bassett Meacham puts Utah State up by 2. It's 48-46, 1 minute and 13 seconds to go, and another free throw coming. This would be big. Second shot missed, and the rebound by Kinslow. 2-point game. 1 minute and 6 seconds to go. Davison passes over to left wing, gets it back up top. 15 on the shot clock now. We are under a minute. Davison gets a screen. She'll use it. Gets into the lane, puts it up, is fouled misses the shot, but she'll have a chance for a couple of free throws here to check her pulse. Davison, who has done it all for this Long Beach State team, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, can put down a couple of clutch free throws here. She's a 65% free throw shooter. The first one, good. She had gone 0 of 2 on her only trip to the free throw line in this game. Brewster checks out. Eliza West checks in for Utah State. One more coming for Davison. On the court, it's Bassett Meacham, Duffy, Gorman, Eliza West, and Olivia West for Utah State. This free throw to tie it. Shanasia Davison does it. 52.5 seconds to go. We are tied up at 48 apiece. Coming down to the wire here at the Spectrum. This is a fun one. Duffy into the front court. Stops, picks up the dribble, hands it off to Eliza. Eliza way over on the left side. Stops, passes over, gets it to Gorman. Gorman down to Bassett Meacham. Bassett Meacham into the paint, puts it up, misses. Rebound tipped around. Long Beach State comes away with it. They've got it. 2 seconds between shot and game clock. Will they elect to slow it down? They probably should, and they do. 1.5, maybe 2 seconds between shot and game clock. King has it. Passes over to left wing for Davison. Davison back up top to King. And then a foul. No, a timeout called by Long Beach State. Coach Kamen wants to regroup his squad, and with 16, he'll have 16.4 seconds on the game clock, 14 or so on the shot clock. So he's going to want to use as much of that as possible as he draws up a play. If they could score, they likely win this thing. If not, we're going to overtime. There is, again, well, I should clarify, there is about 2 seconds-ish between shot and game clock. And so it's not necessarily game here, but boy, it would be tough to overcome a Long Beach State bucket on this possession. 48-48. Long Beach State has shot 40%, while Utah State has just shot 25%, but 22 Long Beach State turnovers have left Utah State's door wide open. Aggies couldn't connect on their opportunity to break this thing open on the last possession, and so now they have to make a defensive stand. Utah State has been to overtime one time this season. It was in this building against BYU. Long Beach State yet to go to overtime in any game this season. Will we see another? Coach Kamen, who's in his second season as the Long Beach State head coach, trying to pick up his squad's 3rd win of the season. Certainly drawing up his most efficient offensive play here as we come out of the timeout. Long Beach State going to line up 4 players in a row at the top of the three-point line. The inbound will come from just in front of the 49er bench. Goes in immediately to Davison. Olivia West plays for the steal, can't quite get it. So now Davison has it. Who else would you expect to have the ball at this time of the game? 7 on the shot clock. Davison goes left and right, then is fouled by Olivia West. Not a bad foul there. Utah State still has a couple to give. And so that will it'll turn off the shot clock, which I guess does eliminate your potential buzzer beater with a couple of seconds to go. But it'll make Long Beach State inbound from the far side with 7.7 seconds. That goes in again to Davison. Davison has 6 seconds, guarded by Olivia. She gets the screen, uses it, works over to the left side, gets a shot up, rolls around, it's good! Buzzer beater goes in, and Long Beach State will win it. The officials are going to go and take a look at the replay to make sure there's no time left, but I don't think there is, and I think Long Beach State is walking out of Logan with a win. Shanasia Davison caps off a monster performance by hitting the buzzer beater here in Logan. She finishes this thing with 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists as the Niners pick up their 3rd win of the season. Utah State will head into conference play with a 5-6 overall record, and that's a tough one. That is a tough one for Utah State. You know, you came in and felt like everything was going your way. You're riding a 3-game win streak, trying to head into conference play with a winning record, and you lose that one on a heartbreaker at the end. We've now got Utah State associate head coach Ben Finkbeiner coming over to join us. Coach, you know, it's always tough to lose on a buzzer beater, But your squad really kind of struggled, at least offensively, through the first 3.5 quarters, then finally got things going there at the end.
Yeah, we didn't lose on a buzzer beater. We lost on a shot that they made at the end. But it was one of those things where we lost it in the first, second, third quarters. The fourth quarter, we finally got some energy, but there's no excuse for coming out and playing the way that we played.
Now, Long Beach State, they did a lot of good things defensively, but it seemed like you guys just weren't making open shots.
Yeah, that's right.
And getting a lot of good looks at the same time.
Yeah, we struggled early on with getting good looks, but we adjusted their defense pretty well as far as what we were doing X and O-wise. We just didn't make the shots we need to make.
So now as you look at the schedule going forward, I mean, you guys get a pretty good break between now and the next game, and a much-deserved break after you played so much on the road and played such a tough preseason schedule. And then conference play. As the players head home for the break, what do you tell them?
Yeah, they need to stay in shape. That's the first thing. We want them to have a Merry Christmas, and we want them to have, fun with their families and that kind of stuff. But the first thing is stay in shape. That's the thing that you're focused on the most. Because when you take 4 or 5 days off, you don't want to come back to that first practice and feel like, they've lost anything from their conditioning standpoint. So that's number one. And then number two is we've got to put everything that happened here and also before this, the positive and the negative, it goes behind you because you really do reset the season. We all know that in basketball, there's 3 seasons. You got the preseason, and then you've got conference, and you got conference tournament after that. Sure. And so we've got to move on to that second portion of the year now and be a better team.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great Christmas.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Okay, thank you. So that's Utah State associate head coach, recently promoted, Ben Finkbeiner, son of head coach Jerry Finkbeiner. It's always tough to come over and talk after a loss, especially after a loss like that. And I think he said it well, though. Utah State technically lost on a buzzer beater, but they lost because they shot 25% in the game, and they lost because they just couldn't really control this Long Beach State team, and a lot of credit goes to them. Long Beach State is riding a 2-game winning streak now, and their record isn't fantastic. They're 3-10, but that's a team that was picked third in the Big West preseason. They've got a lot of young talent. Obviously, the addition of Sydney Kinslow, who had a big game tonight in her Long Beach State debut, is going to be huge for the 49ers. And for Utah State, you just try and reset. You come back after the Christmas break. You've got, 10 days. You've got all the way up until January 2nd till your next game. So, you stay in shape and come back, and it's a new season in a new year. But Long Beach State going to take this one 50-48. We're going to cut to a timeout for those of you joining us here on Aggie Radio. We'll come back in just a moment with a little bit more pregame analysis for those of you joining us on Mountain West Network and Stadium. Feel free to jump over to AggieRadio.com. Or if you're here in the Valley, 92.3 FM, and you can hear our post-game show. But thanks for joining us for another edition of Utah State Women's Hoops. Aggies fall to 5-6 on a 50-48 loss to Long Beach State. I'm Jaden Johnson, signing out. Have a good afternoon and enjoy your holiday season.
All right, Sundays at 11 p.m., we've got On the Quad. It is a comedy show from Aggie Radio Theater. That's every Sunday at 11 p.m. If you're looking to make your intestines hurt from so much laughter, tune in.
92.3 FM, KBLU-LP, Logan, Utah.
This program is brought to you in part by Intermountain Logan Regional Hospital Orthopedic and Sports Medicine, featuring individually focused rehabilitation programs, sports performance training for all ages, and orthopedic surgery options. Logan Regional's orthopedic and sports medicine specialists are the official medical providers for Utah State University Athletics, featuring team physicians, team orthopedists, and physical therapists. Learn more at loganregional.org.
Utah State falls to Long Beach State 50-48, a tough way to wrap up the non-conference portion of this season for the Aggies. A non-conference season which I think was overall viewed as a positive, going to go out on a sour note, and it's tough, because now you've got several days between now and the next game, and you've got a week and a half till you're back in action, and you get to go home for the holidays, but this is going to be on your mind as Utah State
only scores 48 points. They shoot 25% in this game and lose on a buzzer beater to Long Beach State is just a phenomenal effort by Shanasia Davison. You know, Davison is a very good player. She leads this team 14.5 points per game, and she was the leading scorer and assister last season as a freshman. She was named preseason All-Big West. So you didn't just lose on a buzzer beater to an average player. You lost to a really good player who scored 20 of the 50 points for Long Beach State. But that doesn't make it any easier as Utah State falls to 5-6 on the season, rather than going into conference play on a winning note, on a 4-game win streak and a 6-5, a winning preseason record. But you still have to stop and you have to focus on how much improvement this team has made from last season. Last year they went into conference play 2-9. They won 7 games the full season. Now you're going in 5-6. You've already won 5 games. And so certain improvement, no question there for Utah State. But this game, it's just going to leave a little bit of a sour taste, I think, for Aggie fans. Long Beach State, a team who's better than their record shows. But Utah State had so many opportunities there. So many. They went 5 of 18 on layups. If Utah State makes 7 of 18, if you miss 10 layups instead of 13 layups, you're going into conference play with a winning record. And so, you know, you can nitpick, you can look at so many small things. And as Coach Finkbeiner said there, you didn't lose on a buzzer beater if you're Utah State. You lost on a pretty poor performance through 3.5 quarters of play. Now, things did pick up there at the end. I mean, you look at Utah State scoring 8 points in the first quarter, 9 points in the second quarter, 11 points in the third quarter, 20 in the fourth. They actually outscored them 20-15 in the fourth quarter, and 31-25 in the second half. It just wasn't enough. And you know, going into halftime with a total of 17 points, you're not going to win many games. So a lot of things to look at on film, and in some ways, a loss like this is certainly a learning experience. And if your team can learn from it, and you made this mistake in the preseason, and you had a game like this in the preseason, in some ways, it's not the worst thing in the world. And in some ways, you can actually use it as a positive. But as for right now, it really stings, and I'm sure that locker room is not very upbeat at the moment. Utah State was led in this game by Shannon Duffy. She really started out cold and didn't have a great night from the field, just 3 of 13. But she did have 14 points. She had 10 rebounds, so that's another double-double. I think she got that last rebound right at the end because I just barely noticed that, actually. That's her 5th double-double of the season. And then she also had 6 steals, which is certainly a season high. I'm going to have to flip through my notes. I believe that's probably a career high as well. It is, yep. So her previous career high was last year against Dixie State, where she had 5, but 6 steals. So she had a pretty good night. I mean, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Just wasn't hitting from the field. Rachel Brewster, I thought, was fantastic in this game. She came in, she made more field goals than anybody in only 23 minutes. She went 4 of 10, had 12 points, had 5 rebounds as well, and did that all, again, in 23 minutes. Had a block as well. So I was really impressed by Rachel Brewster, and frankly, you know, I'm not going to make any coaching critiques or anything like that. I was a little surprised she didn't get a little bit more time in this game, where she came out, had the hot hand right from the get-go. Olivia West had 8 points. Got in a little bit of foul trouble, had 4 to close out with, and that limited her a little bit. But she hit a huge 3 there to put Utah State back in contention. 5 points from Steph Gorman. Struggled a little bit, though. Turned the ball over 5 times. Did get 4 rebounds. Eliza West with 2 points and 4 rebounds. And then, who else did I miss? I think that's it. Oh, Marlene Anibos, who came in, only played 5 minutes, got to the free throw line and knocked down a shot. So she finished with 1 point and a rebound as well. For Long Beach State, it was the Shanasia Davison show. And you saw it here in person if you came to this game. She
she's a special player and only a sophomore. You should watch out for her in the future. 20 points on 9 of 20 from the field. She did go 0-5 from downtown, but that was really the only flaw in her game today. 5 rebounds as well, 3 assists, 6 turnovers. I guess so, maybe another flaw in her game, and then hit the buzzer beater. Huge shot there at the end, and really made it look easy. So big showing from Shanasia Davis. And other players in the scoring column for Long Beach State: Hunt had 9, Hamilton Fisher had 6, King had 4, 3 apiece for Kinslow, as well as Bordenero and Hardy, and 2 for Green. But Kinslow, Sydney Kinslow, she was a difference maker as well, because in my notes, in all my preparation, I did not do a bit of preparation for Sydney Kinslow because I didn't think she was going to play. She had not played at all this season. She's a transfer from Illinois. I guess I just figured she was sitting this entire season as a transfer. Turns out her transfer was a mid-season transfer, and so she just had to sit the first so many games, I guess the first 12 games, and this was her Long Beach State debut. But she came out, had 9 rebounds and 3 points, and really made a big difference, especially defensively for the Niners. That's a player to be pretty excited about if you are Long Beach State. And as you try to turn this young season around, obviously a tough start. You start out 1-9, but you're going into conference play now with 2 straight wins. Your team has a lot of young talent that can continue to develop through the season, and I think that Long Beach State is going to be right there in the pack in the Big West Conference. Now their season continues as they actually haven't. Okay, so they've got one more non-conference play as they non-conference game as they have New Mexico, team Utah State is well familiar with. I'm going to be interested to see how that game goes down. They'll play New Mexico on the 29th. That's a week from today at 2:00 p.m., and then they get a bit of a break before they start conference play. Utah State has until January 2nd till they have their next game when they begin conference play. Now, just doing a quick count here, that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days until the next game for the Aggies. That's a Wednesday night game here at the Spectrum, 7:00 p.m. We'll, of course, have that here on AggieRadio.com. It will be a conflicting game. Actually, I think that we should get at least the first half on 92.3. It does conflict with the men's game against Nevada, though, so if you want to catch the full thing, you'll have to go online to AggieRadio.com to hear it, or just join us here on Stadium and Mountain West Network. And then they'll head on the road. They'll play Air Force on the 5th, play at Fresno State on the 9th. But conference play is right among us, and Utah State has plenty of reason to be excited about it. Need to go home, put this thing behind them, and a new season starts next week, as we heard Coach Finkbeiner say there. We're going to wrap things up. Thanks for joining us for Utah State Women's Hoops here on Aggie Radio. I'm Jaden Johnson, and on behalf of all of our production team here at the Spectrum, thanks for joining us, and enjoy the holidays wherever you may be. I know a lot of the Utah State players heading home this afternoon or tomorrow. Going to have a chance to spend 5 or 6 days at home. Long Beach State, I know, flying out today, and they'll be able to spend the holidays with their loved ones as well. Final score from here at the Spectrum: Long Beach State 50, Utah State 48. Have a good afternoon.
On the Aggie Sports Network, this has been Utah State Women's Basketball. The proceeding has been a Learfield presentation on the Aggie Sports Network.